Hello and welcome to RPTV. I am your host, Jordan Espeseth, and on this episode, we have Lance Dunahoe with Inspect360, our partner spotlight. Lance, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jordan. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, well, we're happy that you could join us. We're happy to share a bit about you and your story, and I'm excited because we've known each other now for, I guess, not terribly long, but a year and a half plus.
Seems like longer.
And one thing I really appreciate you is that every time I connect with you, I feel like you're someone who's always looking for you're the how can I help you kind of guy. And I just wanted to say to start off that I've always really admired and appreciate that about you. So thank you very much for who you are and how you look at life and everything has been very inspiring to me. So I'm excited about chatting with you a little more here today.
Me too.
So Lance, you're the owner of Inspect360. Give us just a quick, so if someone doesn't know what inspections are, give us the overview of what you do.
Yeah, sure. So Inspect360, of course, is a home inspection company, but we also inspect commercial properties as well. So inspections means that we are in there assessing the condition of the home. So we're crawling in crawl spaces on roofs. We're running water, air conditioning systems. We're basically putting the house through a workout, giving it a physical. We're there to assess that condition. We're not there to assess the value. That's an appraiser. Sometimes people get those two things confused. But we really want people to know what it is they're buying and what the condition of that property is.
Yeah, and so you're the owner. What do you guys have currently for a team?
Yeah, so we have 4 inspectors, not including myself right now. So we have 4 inspectors that are, right now as we speak, crawling under houses and on roofs.
Now, do you still crawl under houses and
No,
on roofs?
I don't. I found that as the business grew that I was becoming probably the worst home inspector out there because I was distracted by the phone ringing and managing the business and making sure our clients were taken care of. So I found a great team of inspectors that, quite candidly, are much better inspectors than I ever was.
Yeah, that's great. Now, what Inspect360? Where does that come from?
So, of course, 360, of course, means kind of full circle. We really are trying to give people the big full picture, and not just the hit list, not just the things that are wrong with the house, but a full perspective, the pros, the cons, the things that need to be addressed, but really where people have a complete, total understanding of the home.
Yeah, no, I love that.
360 view.
360. Which is the logo, big little circle.
There you go.
It makes sense. It's coming together.
Yeah, and I liked the logo when we did it because it looked like it would look cool on the side of an old truck.
Yeah.
But you'll see it doesn't have a house on it, which a lot of people say, why do you have a home inspection, a logo that doesn't have a house? And it's kind of just for that reason. We get that question, and then people remember it a little bit more than the typical
because everyone else does it.
That's right.
Why you're not doing it.
That's
I love that. So you could have done anything. Why home inspection? And what led you to home inspection?
You know, that is the question of the year. Well, it really was something that I kind of fell into because I actually, by education, was an English major and a communications major. I went to work for American Airlines right out of college and also into graduate school, but I was studying to be a writer, and I wanted to be a travel writer. So I became a flight attendant, moved to Boston, and where I met my wife, and we traveled the world together, but writing took a back seat.
Was she a flight attendant?
She still is, yeah. She's a flight attendant for American Airlines.
Awesome.
So when we decided to start a family, though, realized that I had to do something else. And I had always had some little side business doing something, and had done some remodeling and had invested in some properties and thought I was going to go into real estate. Until I realized the torture that I had put through every realtor that had ever worked for me. I was like, I'm not going to subject somebody else to be subjected to what I subjected them to. Realtors are an abused group of people because people take advantage of their time. And I just didn't have that time. We were starting a family, and a friend of mine who had become a home inspector reached out to me, and it just kind of clicked, and he offered to mentor me. This is about 2005. Okay. And so started on that road and thought I would do it kind of as a summer job. And then suddenly it grew, and I had to leave American Airlines and do this full time.
So did you start inspecting with him and his company, or did you?
No. He just offered. He was just a very generous guy that offered to mentor and train me. And,
wow.
It was pretty exceptional in this business, in this industry.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's something that I really like to take actually, when we've had employees that have worked with us, like a lot of businesses, you end up training somebody, they do a great job, and then they may consider other opportunities. And that's fine. I think I've had a lot of help along the way, and I think as long as we're making the industry better, to have that philosophy of just being a little bit more generous with it, you just raise standards and you weed out the riffraff.
Which I was going to ask you, because seems like there's an inspector on every street corner.
Right.
What makes Inspect360 different than some of the other ones that are
Well, I would say it's kind of like the top producers here, with Real Producer Magazine. There's always kind of that 80-20. There's 50,000 realtors in DFW, 30,000 that are in production. Of that, there's a small percentage that are really doing something exceptional. And I think that's the same way with the inspection industry. There may be 5,000 home inspectors, and I'm not sure how many are in DFW exactly, but of that, there's a small portion of those that really do an exceptional job. And I would say it comes down to real estate is a relationship business, and those inspectors have built great relationships with their clients, with their affiliates, with the other agents that refer them. They've taken care of their clients. They've done a great job technically, but they've also provided a great and valuable service.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we do. That's how we distinguish ourselves, and love to be in that category for sure, of that top percent.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. So the business started in 2005.
Right.
Tell us. You and I have had great conversations about this, and I think a lot of people will be able to relate to this story because it happens a lot when people start to have a lot of success.
Sure.
And you have your foundation, and you start to really grow, and then things happen. And so tell us a little bit, because you have a really unique story and a very unique perspective on. So tell us a little bit about the where your business started, why you started, and then what went wrong.
Right. So I think any business, there's going to be ebbs and flows. You're going to have successes and setbacks. If you are truly somebody who is going to be innovative, trying to be relevant, you can stay in your comfort zone. But if you want to grow, you're going to stretch beyond maybe some of your natural abilities.
Yeah.
That's why I love being in the room with some of the real producer top agents, because most of these people have experienced something like that. They have had some challenge that they've overcome, and to be in a room with those kind of people and to be able to connect on that level is very affirming and empowering, and so I love that.
Yeah.
But for myself, I've always I've been comfortable with failure. I've always been able to, if I wasn't trying hard enough, I probably wasn't going to fail. I could stay comfortable, but if I'm going to risk something, there's a good chance I'm going to fail. So whenever I do experience something like that sets me back, I've got a good attitude about it, and I think that's probably part of my upbringing. My father was a businessman who became a preacher. My mother was a high school counselor who was also a fantastic cook. She wrote cookbooks, and so I start seeing that there's this business is somewhat of an expression of those things for me. I love connecting with people. I think that's what drew me to the inspection part of the business, not necessarily the technical side, but being in that moment where people are making a very important decision and being able to give them information that helps them make that decision. So to be able to connect on that level and be there when they're in that critical stage is something, again, that maybe the preacher or counselor's son that comes, But with that, and then I think we were talking earlier, I love to cook. It's something that I do in my downtime, and I see business and cooking as cooking as a great metaphor for business. And probably the best one would be like cooking soup. So what's the first thing you think of when you think of soup?
Chicken dumpling.
Chicken dumpling. But why? What is it, chicken dumpling? What does that do for you?
My mom used to make it all the time, so it makes me feel good.
Yeah. There's something comforting, satisfying, particularly in those moments. It meets some need for you.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think of my business as that as kind of like a big pot of soup, and really there's this unique thing when you put things in a pot together with some type of broth. you could just let it sit there, and that's not soup yet. It's when you turn up the heat and you add certain ingredients that work in relationship with each other. And I mean that. There's this relationship that happens that suddenly the combination brings other things together, brings things out, different flavors. So I think there's these unique relationships in business that the right ones bring out the best and create something bigger than they could do independently.
Sure.
And I think business is like that. With that, though, you can get some bad ingredients. You can put too much salt. You can put the wrong kind of salt.
Oh yeah,
You know,
that's my girlfriend. I do that all the time.
Right. So these little subtleties, and I think businesses like that. You can start off with something that has great quality ingredients, and as you grow and try to meet a need, and add other ingredients that may not always work out. It may turn into something that doesn't have the right taste. Mm-hmm. Or you substitute, I won't beat this metaphor to death, but you substitute an ingredient. So instead of chicken stock, you decide, you know what, I'm going to use bouillon. And where chicken stock, might have something that has some nutrients in it that will give you some benefit, bouillon just is MSG that makes you puffy and feel weird.
Yeah.
So there's just like that. You could start substituting things, and as you grow in a business, I think there's a tendency to try and scale, and you end up diluting, and you don't have the same quality ingredients. I experienced that myself in my business, and had to really reduce that back down to something that was a bit more manageable, and something that represented truly who we were as a core, and with the quality ingredients, so that we could satisfy our clients. We could, when they think of Inspect360, they think of something like they do soup, that we've taken care of people, we've served them.
Yeah, because how big, you had how many inspectors at one point?
We had 10 inspectors at one point.
10 inspectors at one point. Now at 4, you said?
Yeah. So about, actually March of 2019, on my 50th birthday, I had a group of my inspectors decide to leave. I'm like, well, happy birthday, right?
That's a nice gift.
But but it was, they wanted to go make their own soup. I get it. We had put some combinations in the pot that didn't quite work out, and so I had to, at that point, decide how I was going to rebuild and regrow. My first tendency was to really just start getting back to work, getting busy and doing some things. It's easy to get active and just start throwing stuff in the pot again. Well, I think I shared with you about a month later, I had an incident where I broke my leg and physically had to stop what I was doing.
Quickly, how did that happen again, Lance? How did you break?
Well, as my wife would say, by forgetting that I'm 50 years old. But I did a big, beautiful front flip off of a boat dock out at Cedar Creek Lake, and abruptly found the bottom of the lake.
Very quickly.
And blew up my tibia.
I'd love to, if possible, interlay the video and/or the picture of the foot into this, because there it is right there.
Yeah.
Do something with that, Jim.
Right. So, but it was one of those moments where everything stopped for me. And I couldn't just get busy and bowl through it, with brute force.
Right.
And it was the first time in a long time I had to stop, and was forced to stop and evaluate where I was, what I really had. And instead of focusing, though, on what I had lost, going from a big team to a small team, I really began to appreciate what I have more than I ever have in my life. I had a strong right leg. I have a beautiful wife and 2 beautiful boys, and family, and a core team that stuck with me, that made me just appreciate things like I never had before. And my goal at this point was, this is my stock. This is my soup. That there's no way I'm going to. This formula right now here works. It is the best tasting soup I've ever had, and I appreciate it. And we'll grow again, but it's got to be. We've got to maintain this quality. It's got to be these ingredients, and we're not going to do cheap substitutions.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think the metaphor, I know you said you don't want to beat it to death, but it really does, it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
And you can still have the same tasting soup in a bigger bowl.
Yep.
But you just have to have, more of the right stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I realized too, I used to see myself as the chef. I'm the one but I realized that as the chef, you start thinking oh, I'm going to make more soup and I'm going to delegate these things out. I realize how important that I'm actually just an ingredient like everybody else, and I've got to be in it. One of the mistakes I made was delegating things out to other people, and a lot of those were relationships. And
Sure.
As I mentioned earlier, what I love about soup is you put the right combination of ingredients together and they form a relationship that brings out something bigger. And that relationship is so important. And I really learned this last year that there's just some key things as a business owner, CEO, whatever you want to call yourself, that you just can't delegate out. And primarily, the most important is those key relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't replace your relationship with those people.
Right.
You can, yeah. There's a lot of things you can delegate, and you should.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's that's an art in itself.
Right.
Learning to delegate those things, but yeah, the human side of things cannot really be delegated.
Right. With your clients, with your employees, with your affiliates, all those things that if you really wanted to maintain quality, you have to.
So do you think as you're growing and you got to 10 inspectors, do you think your mind was kind of just focused on one thing and things just started to kind of...
One thing.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I had several different things going on, and that was part of it. I had delegated things out so I could manage those other things. I was taking care of parents who were sick and sadly dying. I had another business where I was doing a lot more training. I was out in the field and traveling. So there's a great, I believe it's a Russian proverb that he who chases 2 rabbits catches neither one. I thought I could build a rabbit trail and herd a bunch of rabbits, and I realized that I can't. And as you mentioned, there are things you can delegate out, and you should delegate out, but you have to have the right relationships in those combinations. It's got to be with the right people.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think that's beautiful. So now, I mean, you've had a come to Jesus kind of with your business. Sure. What is Inspect360 like if you were to look forward 5, 10, 15 years? Is it back to 10 inspectors? Like,
you know what? I don't care.
Yeah.
That may sound weird. That's not my, I know that we're going to grow, but it's going to, because we grew from quality and maintaining the integrity of what we have. So however that scales, as long as we maintain that, I'm completely satisfied, and we're delivering a product and a service now that is satisfying our clients. So as long as we do that, it's going to grow organically. I wanted to have the biggest vat and then multiple pots and you know and this thing before,
Spin a bunch
and
of plates.
I had that to some extent. That didn't satisfy me like this does.
Yeah.
And it didn't satisfy our clients either that way either.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Quality.
Quality.
Right? Focus on quality.
Yep.
Yeah. You've, since 2005, have probably experienced a lot of unique things,
Sure.
crazy things. Do you have a story that you're just like, that was a crazy thing that happened to me, or to one of my inspectors, or to, is there anyone that stands out? I know there's one recently with a dog. Did you send me that?
Yeah, there was unfortunately, one of our colleagues here in DFW, he had a terrible incident with some dogs in the backyard,
It's brutal.
Yeah, so certainly encourage our listing agents to make sure the house is ready and pets and things are put away, because that's serious. That was
very
that was a
serious.
career-ending injury.
Yeah, wow.
But I've had so much fun as an inspector, mainly because you're dealing with people and it's just a fun time. Even though it's critical, I love that aspect. There's been some weird things, you do get some people that are tense, they're nervous, but the things that you might see, I don't like to consider myself, I don't want to get in invade people's privacy, but people leave stuff out, in their houses when you're inspecting them. So there's oftentimes that you just might find things that you're like,
should be
did
put
they
in a
not
drawer?
know you were coming? You could have at least put that away. But probably the saddest thing, and it was there was even a blog that was written about this, and it kind of went viral. But I like to say I found a dead body at an inspection.
You like to say you did? Or
well, I put it that way. I found a dead body. But what I found, actually, I opened up a closet in a vacant house to get into a attic access. And on a shelf right in front of me was a box of cremated remains. and it just had in a big Sharpie, it said Jimmy on it.
My goodness.
The only thing in this house, Jimmy.
That was it? It was
left.
all, everything
Jimmy
else was
was
taken
left
out?
in the closet. And the seller ended up coming by, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I had to move this box of remains to get up in the attic. And she's like, yeah, that was Uncle Jimmy. And nobody liked him. Jimmy was an ass. So nobody wanted to be buried next to him. We don't know what we're going to do with Jimmy. It was just the saddest thing, you know.
That is one way of having skeletons in your closet. That is wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, other than that, just the creepy stuff you might find, snakes in an attic or crawl space or dead things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell you some creepy stories.
That
too,
is.
but that was probably the.
Oh, R.I.P. Jimmy.
That's right.
Yeah, rest in
R.I.P.
peace, Jimmy.
Yeah.
So you, I mean, where would we find Lance when he's not in the business? What do you like to do outside of
Cooking.
your job? You like to cook?
I like to cook. Spend a lot of time with friends. We've got a great core of friends and family. So we typically on the weekend are getting together with them, and that does involve cooking. You know, maybe a little bit of wine and bourbon, and but it's usually just getting together with friends and family and our kids and spending time like that. I really enjoy what I do as a business. People ask me, you know, what's your hobby? You know, I enjoy business. I enjoy what I do. So, you know, I don't have too many other hobbies than that.
Yeah. You have a favorite dish that you cook?
Again, I love cooking soups just because it's always something that you can experiment with and tweak a little bit and make those little minor adjustments that change the character of it. And it's just a great thing to share.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of like business too. You know, once you've shared it with somebody, you know, soup is really actually better the second or third time. And I think that's for business. Sometimes if you, like particularly for people that have used us as an inspection company, and maybe at the time, maybe our soup formula was a little bit off, but now I think we've got that down where it's good.
Yeah.
And so giving us a couple shots just to really experience what it is we do, because we do so much more than just provide inspections. We really believe that we make a promise to our clients and we deliver on that. And that starts from the time they schedule an inspection, but as long as they own the home, we're there as a resource for them. We want them to have a great relationship with us and the people that referred us.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. You guys, if I am correct here, I think you guys offer a lot more than maybe standard inspectors, right? You have a lot that you guys can do.
Yeah, sure. So as far as
the services that you provide.
Yeah, so I think what's unique and some of the things that are changing in the industry, our clients are expecting more. You know, that's the challenge that we're facing, you know, with, of course, realtors with, you know, people wanting to replace them with robots, you know, all the eye programs and things like that, that ultimately, I think the relationship wins out, the one-on-one when it comes down to it. Now, clients are going to feel around there, you know, feel the market out and try and get the best deal, but ultimately they need an advocate when they're making that big purchase. So likewise, we've had to stay relevant with the expectations of our clients, what they want. There's often been a sort of a misnomer in inspections that it implies some warranty, that when we inspect the house, that it's going to stay in that condition perpetually. And that's just not the case. A home inspection is a snapshot of the condition of the home. Once we leave, somebody else comes in, things can change. The weather changes, a storm comes in, whatever it might be. But it's still kind of implied in an expectation. So we've partnered with another company that provides some warranties that go along with our inspection to just give extra value and a bit more certainty and confidence, where we know that there's a chance that something is going to come up after we inspect it, but we've solved a problem for them. We've given them a solution instead of having to just say, sorry, it went that way when we inspected it, and then they call their agent and complain. Now we're able to provide a solution, and so we've taken the drama out of the whole situation, which I think is what nobody wants drama, nobody wants surprises in real estate, and so we've been able to solve that problem for our clients.
Yeah.
and our agents that refer us.
Yeah. Well, and you guys work with, I mean, you guys have been referred by many top producers. And, so agents love working with you guys.
Yes. Thank you.
You guys definitely do something right.
Yeah.
What, we talked about this before. If you're in the car and you're driving, you want to get yourself pumped up a little bit. What music are you going to throw on?
James Brown.
James Brown?
Yeah.
That's your go-to
Oh
jam?
man, always.
You just
Get on
vibe
the
into some
good
James Brown?
foot, get up off of that thing and dance. You know better. Yeah, that's right. So
you want to sing, you give us a little version? Are you a singer?
no.
No.
I mean, I could do it and I feel good, but who can't, right?
Feel good.
That's right. Now, James Brown, man, I love the good 60s soul, just
Yeah.
gets you going. So
There you go. Well, everyone's got their their thing. That's James Brown's not mine, but hey,
yeah. What's yours?
I should have thought about this before I asked you because
Yep.
I'm gonna come back. But I honestly I like a high energy like mix between pop and rap type music. I like pretty much anything though from any. I mean I'm someone who I like to listen to Christian music to to country to pop to rap. I can kind of go wherever. There's just certain songs in each genre that I'm like. That's my jam right
You just described James Brown to me. That
Yeah, did
kinda
I?
satisfies all
I
those
guess
things.
maybe I haven't given him enough time. I gotta tune him in.
It's a spiritual experience.
Yeah. I don't know if we talked about you married and you have kids.
Yes, 2 boys,
Okay.
13 and 15 right now. Yeah,
13, 15.
They're all that. They are all 13 and 15. No filters.
Your standard 13, 15
and they
year
say
old.
stuff that makes me laugh because really I don't think I ever matured past about 8th grade, just my sense of humor. So
Same.
the stuff that they say that they should never say around other people, they say, and I just laugh inside and want to add to it.
And you're like, I should parent them not to say this.
It's terrible. And my poor wife, I mean, bless her heart.
What's her name?
Her name is Danielle.
Danielle.
We just torture her, and she just kind of laughs with us. And,
Yeah.
And then gets really annoyed at some point and locks herself in, the bathroom and takes a bath.
There you go.
Says, get away from me.
Well, I'm sure I'm the youngest of 3 boys, so I'm sure my mom can relate to Danielle quite a bit. Boys, are they in sports? Are they going to be inspectors one day? Are they?
They both kind of have entrepreneurial mindset. They did sports early on. One of them's in band, and then one's more,
Yeah.
just they've all got that down. But this has been a fun year for Christmas. We started talking about, and I know this may be aired a little bit later, but you can edit that out. But they're getting more creative. Instead of coming to Dad and saying, "Dad, I need some money. I want to buy something," I've just said no, and so they've had to get creative, and they've been like fixing up old stuff and like even their old toys or whatever and selling them, which is just kind of cool. That
cool.
Instead of donating things, I'm like, well, go put your old Lego set back together and we'll put it on eBay or whatever and sell it for half price. And so instead of it just sitting in a big box and multiple pieces, they're doing that, which to me is a better outlet than this all day. They're actually having to do something and they're kind of exercising. They're learning that money's not just going to come to them. They're going to have to earn it. And sometimes you're in that situation where you're going to have to start with what you have and figure out what you're going to do with it and grow from there.
Yeah. Well,
So I love those little lessons.
Business mindset. Yeah. Entrepreneurial type stuff.
So I'm trying to teach them little stuff, but most of the time they're like, "You don't know. You're a boomer, Dad." That's the new term. You heard that?
A boomer.
A boomer.
You're a baby boomer. Yeah.
I guess
yeah.
so. I didn't even know that. But.
Well, I'm sure I told my dad many times he doesn't know what he's talking about. But
Yeah.
Hindsight.
Right.
Dad, you were right on a lot of things.
Yeah, right.
So. Well, thank you so much for coming
Sure.
on, Lance. Is there anything else, any tips that you'd love to give to people maybe starting their business, whether that be any business, or anything else that you'd like to say about you guys in Inspect360?
Well, I would say, and one of the reasons I love being in the real producer world is surround yourself with people that challenge you, that do what you want to do, but do it better. Because, I mean, there's never been a situation where I've been the smartest person in the room, and that's intentional because I have to be challenged, and I want to be around people that are achieving things. So I would say if you're starting out, that's probably the best thing you can do is surround yourself with those people that you want to be like. And then as far as Inspect360 goes, We have really focused this year, again, on those relationships that got us here.
Yeah.
And making sure that we're taking care of our clients. And that also means reinvesting in some technology and things to make the experience better for our clients, where it's the inspection report isn't just limited to a PDF, a report that's on paper. It's interactive. It's got video. It's got some things that just give a more interactive experience that really reduce all the callbacks and the questions that come up after an inspection.
Sure.
And then even within that report, our agents are able to create a repair amendment just by clicking on the things they want, and it automatically populates into a report. So saving our agents hours sometimes of time, and it just improves that communication. Usually the inspection where there's hiccups is where there's been some miscommunication, and so we've solved that problem, we think, for our clients, or at least greatly improved it.
Yeah.
So
Technology, right?
yeah, absolutely. And it's using that technology in the right way, and I think that's it. It's just like soup or anything else. It's the presentation. You can do a great job, but if you don't present it well, it may not necessarily be something that is appreciated as much and is meaningful. So we think that just that presentation is important, and how we interact with our clients, and make sure that we are clearly communicating and giving them everything they need to make those real important decisions.
Yeah.
At a critical moment, but with total clarity.
Well, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
I know a lot of the top producers that use you, they appreciate you. And so thank you for coming on the show. And I'm super pumped to see your article. Probably have a chef hat or something on. Making some soup, I would guess, right?
At least just an apron. It may be just an apron. No.
There we go. I like that idea. All right. Thank you for tuning in to RPTV, and we will absolutely see you next time.